Many are familiar with the fact that Detroit has a Greek town, but what many don't realize, especially those of younger generations, is what Greektown once was. While the location still exists geographically, the cultural aspects of Greektown have far declined from years ago. The area which later became Greektown was previously inhabited in the 1830s by German immigrants. The neighborhood was located just northeast of the heart of downtown and was primarily populated with Germans at the time, though other ethnic groups began to move into the area as well, including Greeks. Over the years, Greek restaurants, cafes, bakeries, boutiques, and more were opening up on the block, eventually building this empire of Greek-owned businesses that continued to expand. A community began to form, and the streets were said to have been filled with, quote, Greek-speaking men with cigarettes hanging from their mouths, and you could smell the fresh-baked bread and other goods everywhere you walked. The neighborhood started to become further commercialized in the 1920s, though most of the original Greek-owned businesses remained for a long time thereafterwards, one of those being the Lycon Cafe. The Lycon Cafe was a popular spot to many people, especially Greeks in the community. I asked my yaya, which means grandmother in Greek, what memories she has from going to the Lycon Cafe when it was still in business. She told me that the restaurant had a talking parrot for almost an entire generation, which attracted business and was a favorite especially to the children who came with their families. My yaya also told me that men would often go to the cafeneos downtown. Cafeneo means coffee shop in Greek, and this is where men would go to talk, catch up with one another, play cards, you name it. There was no rule that women could not go into the cafeneos because sometimes they did, but it was rather an unspoken thing that that's where the men would hang out in their free time or on the weekends. The Lycon Cafe closed in 2012 when the casino bought the building from the owner's landlord to fit additional casino parking. The restaurant was loved by many and was a popular spot, particularly on the weekends. When Detroit still housed several Greek Orthodox churches, couples, families, and friends would commonly go to the Lycon Cafe after church to share lunch. The Bouzouki Lounge is another landmark of Greektown that actually is one of the longest-standing Greek clubs in Detroit. Back in the Bouzouki's heyday, it was a nightclub for Greeks to gather and listen to music, watch belly dancers, drink, and eat what were known to be the best lamb chops in town. Popular Greek musicians would hold concerts at the venue, and many Greeks ranging from young adults to even older crowds would gather there together. Now the Bouzouki Lounge has since then changed hands and is a gentleman's club and no longer an ethnically Greek nightclub. Greektown's roots today are overshadowed by chain restaurants, non-ethnic bars, and mainly the casino, which was a leading factor in the decline of the Greekness, if you will, in Greektown. Other factors contribute to the decline as well, such as many of the immigrants who began these businesses long ago have since then passed, and some of their families failed to continue the businesses. The casino began to bring in a large weekend crowd, and parking downtown became far and few in between, as well as too expensive for many people to go there as often, turning lots of the regulars away from visiting Greektown. Today there are a few popular restaurants that still stand, such as Pegasus, the Greek, and the Golden Fleece. Upon Greektown's slow and steady decline, many Greeks moved to the suburbs and started families and new businesses, leaving a much smaller impression on the Greektown many once knew and loved. Each year, on March 25th, Greektown hosts a parade for Greek Independence Day, where Greeks of all ages, Greek-affiliated school clubs, families, and clergy from the surrounding cities come to parade downtown that afternoon in celebration of the country's independence after rule from the Turks, which is probably when you would see the most Greek people in Greektown at once today.